And Pink Project is a day of free breast and pap exams. Just the rate at which we're seeing younger and younger people diagnosed with breast cancer and cervical cancer.
A breast exam might take a couple minutes, whereas a pap smear takes another 5 minutes or so. Don't be nervous to come in. We have great providers that will make you feel comfortable and who will take good care of you.
This is Birds.Bees.Bodies, the podcast where we strip away the myths and get real about sexual and reproductive health. No shame, no stigma, just truth, guidance, and conversations that matter. Powered by Planned Parenthood of Florida, we're here to break barriers, challenge the silence, and give you the knowledge to take charge of your health and your future. Let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Birds.Bees.Bodies, brought to you by Planned Parenthood of Florida. We are in season 4, and the second episode of our season 4 debut is all about Pink Project. We like to think pink at Planned Parenthood, right? Like we like to see the sea of pink in Tallahassee at the Capitol during legislative session. We like to see pink in our health centers. And of course, we thought of October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We needed to create something along those lines that was close to, our awareness for getting tested and screened early. And we came up with Pink Project. And during this episode today, I have the amazing Dr. Robin Schickler, who's our CMO at the organization. Hi, Robin. Thank you for joining.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we are going to talk all about Pink Project and why it's so important. This is a little snackable episode for you all to digest while you're on your lunch break, if you're on your way to work or just getting off of work at the end of the day, and learn more about Pink Project. So I'll just start off by sharing what is Pink Project. And Pink Project is a day of free breast and pap exams at select health centers. The majority of our health centers across the state participate this day. And really, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's giving patients an opportunity to come in and get that free breast exam, that free pap exam if they're due for it, to alleviate, any cost burdens or barriers to getting the care. It's during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This year, we're doing it on Monday, October 6th. And Dr. Schickler, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your background and just kind of why this is so important to be able to offer this to our patients.
Yeah, so I am an OBGYN by training. I completed my training in Florida, and I did do some extra fellowship training in complex family planning. So I'm focused on reproductive health care. So early detection of cancers, precancers is how we've been able to decrease the rate of these cancers in patients and improve overall outcomes. So as an OBGYN, we perform both breast cancer screenings and cervical cancer screenings. For patients, that might look like a clinical breast exam where we actually do an exam of the breasts. It may also look like a mammogram, which is an imaging study of the breasts to check for signs of cancer. And cervical cancer screening looks like pap smears, or what is commonly known as pap smears. And the reason we have these screening tests is to catch it before it becomes a problem. So, for example, especially for pap smears, it's catching it before it becomes a cancer. It's catching it when the cells are just a little bit abnormal, so that we can get rid of any abnormal cells before it even progresses to a cancer. So these tests are super important to get done. Just because you don't have a problem doesn't mean you don't need the testing. That is the whole point of the testing, is to get it before it becomes a problem.
Yeah. And it's so quick too, like coming in for a breast exam and for a pap exam. It's a very quick procedure, quick process.
Yes. So, a breast exam might take a couple minutes, whereas a pap smear takes another 5 minutes or so. You can get that done in a 15 to 20 minute visit. So it is a very quick thing. And it's something that we as OBGYNs or GYN providers do on the regular. It's our bread and butter. So we are very good at doing that.
Yeah. And, one of the things that, really was a catalyst in us trying to set up Pink Project every year and do this for our patients was just the rate at which we're seeing younger and younger people diagnosed with breast cancer and cervical cancer. And something that is, pretty good at being detected early on if you're doing your routine exams and can be caught. Dr. Schickler, I say back in the day because I feel like we used to hear a lot about like self examinations months a month, and that has changed. The recommendations for that has changed a bit. Why is it important to be able to get, familiar with your body and kind of, go to a healthcare provider when something seems off in a or breast exam? And then, doing this actual exam in a provider's office, like the importance of doing that regularly.
Yeah, so to your first point about the self exam, so self breast or chest exam, you might hear different things from different organizations or even from different OBGYNs or family practitioners. Generally, it's not recommended anymore to do self breast or chest exams specifically to like look for lumps or to do it regularly, like every month. Most of us, though, will recommend doing self exams to get to know your body and get to know what your chest or your breasts feel like. You may find a lump, and then be able to go to the doctor or your provider to get that looked at. But really, what it's doing is getting you used to what your normal feels like so that if something does pop up, you'll be more likely to notice it. And when you do notice something, or even not, or you're just getting screening, it's really important to regularly see your provider because we are trained to do those exams. We are trained to know what to look for, to know what to feel for, to find small things that maybe people wouldn't even find on a self exam, because we are trained to do that. And then similarly, there's not really a way for you to check yourself for cervical cancer screening. We do need to do that with a pap smear, so that's really important to do regularly with your provider as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to touch on like the process of Pink Project Day. If you come in and you get the breast exam, you get a pap exam, and then it comes back abnormal, that we will cover to come for the patient to come back in and get further screening. Can you just share a little bit about that? And then the mammogram part too, because we have partnered with a few other organizations to be able to get that care.
Yeah, so I'll start with pap smear. So if you come in and get a pap smear and something comes back as abnormal, it doesn't end there. We don't just say, oh, too bad, that was just a free pap test. You got to figure it out. If you need something called a colposcopy, where we go in, we look a little bit more closely, we might take a couple of biopsies to truly check if there's precancer or cancer cells there. We are covering that. And if you happen to need even further care past the colposcopy, we will also cover that. And that it's a little bit more invasive and thankfully rarer, but we will not let these patients kind of fall off. We will follow them through and make sure that they get the care that they need. And as far as breast cancer screening, so one thing is a free breast exam, the clinical breast exam. Certainly, if we find something and they need a mammogram, we will provide that to them, the prescription to them. And then some people, specifically people starting at the age of 40 that have breast tissue, need to start getting screening mammograms. And some of our health centers are going to have like a mobile van, a local mammogram mobile van parked in front of them, accessible during the month of October to be able to, get their script from the provider at the clinic and then walk over to the van and get that done to make it as easy as possible for patients.
Absolutely. And that's really just what the whole day is about, is trying to remove all those barriers to care. We know women especially, and even those women who are mothers, are so busy, like working with having kids, looking for childcare, all those things that we sometimes just like put our health on the back burner and we're like, yeah, we'll get to the routine screening, we'll get to this. And then there are patients that Truly, it's not about time. It's just the cost. They don't have insurance, and it's the cost about getting this stuff done. So I want to reiterate that, this is such a great day for those patients who either can't find the time, that we found it for you. It's this day. You get a free exam. You walk in or make an appointment, which is strongly recommended because there's, specific reserved spots at each of the participating health centers for this. I wanted to go back and talk about the mammogram opportunities, because I know it's different organizations or groups that we've partnered with to do this. Those are not all free. There's probably costs associated with them, although most of them I think take the majority of insurances. So if you do have insurance, you are covered. They do offer discounted exam costs for those who are uninsured. You can see the whole list of which health centers are participating in that, and we'll have a mammo bus outside of the health center on our website. Just go to ppfl.org/pink-project, and you'll see all the information about Pink Project there, including the mammogram option, including some information about who should be screened, who should be getting a PAP, and all of those things, which I don't think we talked about. But if you got a pap smear last year, Dr. Schickler, and it was normal, does that really mean that you need to get another one this year?
You don't. So we have moved away from those annual pap smears that we used to do. So we actually don't even start pap smears or cervical cancer screening until the age of 25. There may be some very rare exceptions to that, but in general, we don't even start them till 25. And then if you're testing for HPV with the pap smear, which is the virus that is the leading cause of cervical cancer and cervical changes, you only have to get the pap every 5 years. So it's actually every 5 years. So if you had a normal pap actually within the past 5 years, you don't have to get another one for 5 years. It does change once a pap is abnormal. And that's something that your management team will work with you on, and it looks different for each patient. But it is every 5 years now.
Wow, I thought it was 3 years, so it changed again. I feel like the recommendations constantly change, or is it based on age?
They are changing a lot. So it used to be based on age. We're at 21. You could get it every 3 years. If you are doing the test, say you start at 25, if you're doing just the pap test, which is looking at the cells, but not testing for that HPV, that virus, then it goes down to every 3 years because you
Okay.
don't have that extra
Step,
piece
yeah.
of information.
Okay.
Most of us will be doing the HPV test. So most people are every 5 years, but you can do that every 3
Wow.
years.
Wonderful. Yeah. And it's such a quick, easy in and out test to do in our health centers. I definitely encourage folks to take advantage of it. Pretty much across the entire state, we're offering this. There's only a few health centers that aren't offering it, that are not participating, but it's such a great thing. I've heard stories from providers of patients who've come in and said, they wait every year, or every couple years to come in just to be able to get this exam for free because they can't afford it otherwise, or they just can't find the time to. So, really so important to take advantage of it. I also wanted to just kind of touch base on, the routine follow-up care of that. We offer this once a year, but there's also a certain age. You mentioned, Dr. Schickler, that you should be getting regular mammogram tests as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what folks should be screening for? Because that's the whole point of this month, is really to raise awareness and make sure people are finding the time to take care of themselves.
Yeah, so mammograms within the recent years changed as well. The recommendations changed because of those higher rates of cancer we were seeing in younger people. And it, again, differs based on the organization, but mostly they have come to a consensus that screening mammograms should start at age 40. So once you hit 40, you start getting a mammogram, and it's every 1 to 2 years. That's going to be the thing that differs based on your provider or the organization that you're looking at, and then your own risk factors. But it's about every 1 to 2 years. And then it is recommended once you reach age 40 that you get that clinical breast exam every year. When you're younger, you might be able to space it out 1 to 3 years, but once you hit 40, your risk starts to go up for breast cancer. And so we bring them closer together so that we're seeing you more frequently.
And so important to share this information with everyone. According to the American Cancer Society, when breast cancer is caught early, the 5-year survival rate is 99%. So that is super encouraging and very high. So it's just, make time for yourself, get the appointment or walk into a health center, whatever we can do to help you. If you want to learn more about Pink Project, again, the website is ppfl.org/pink projects. You can also call. We encourage you actually to call to make an appointment or walk into a health center to make an appointment. So you can call 1-800-230-7526. That comes out to 1-800-230-PLAN. It was a pleasure to have you on, Dr. Schickler. It's always so good to be able to host these free service days for our communities. We do something like this in the month of June for National HIV Testing Day, where we offer free testing as well. And we're always trying to add on more days where we can support and offer free healthcare, right? Because that's what it's all about, to give access to our communities. Thank you again. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you. I just, I want to reiterate that this is a really great opportunity for people, and know that you're getting really excellent care at Planned Parenthood of Florida. Don't be nervous to come in. We have great providers that will make you feel comfortable and who will take good care of you.
So compassionate. Another story I just want to share real quickly was one of our providers mentioned, the health center manager mentioned that there was a patient who came in and was so nervous about getting a PAP exam, and asked the health center manager if she would be in there and hold her hand throughout the procedure. And she did. She held the patient's hand while she got the PAP exam. And so even though it's a quick, painless process for most, I think it's just the anxiety of going to do this exam. So, I mean, we have other podcasts. If you have time to check them out on things that happen at the gynecologist's office, we talk about all the funny things that happen as you're waiting in the room and you've got your clothes piled up on a corner and you got this gown and it's all awkward stuff. But it's really just so important to do these exams. So thank you again, Dr. Schickler. I appreciate you being on, and please come out to see us on Pink Project Day. Make your appointment. Also, follow us on social media if you are not already. We're on almost every platform at PP Florida. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.